Hello everyone, Eb here, Tech Motorsports, and episode 1. Time for the engine swap. So we have our donor, s54 engine, and it is going to go into the Touring behind me. So the first section of this whole episode is technically going to be removing everything off the donor. So what I'm going to end up doing is removing the whole drivetrain with the subframe all at one time. So that way I just drop the whole thing. So yeah, I'm going to get started on that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to work and remove as much stuff as I can just from the top, and then raise the car up and start working underneath. And once I start loosening everything, the drive shaft, start loosening this part of the suspension components, the steering rack, I'll drop the oil and the coolant while I'm up there, and yeah, hopefully I should have it out here real quick. So let's keep plugging away. Okay, so I've got pretty much almost everything up here removed. There's a couple items I still have left, but so the strut tower is gone, the cabin filter section there is gone, all the electrical has been disconnected that goes to the engine itself. Here's the remaining ones here. Also removed the fan shroud and the fan and the secondary pump hose here. So I am leaving the AC still attached to the chassis. I'm not going to pull the Freon out. I'm just going to leave that attached, and by doing that I'm going to go ahead and remove the intake manifold, or the intake plenum, so that way I have wiggle room. So when I am raising the whole system out, or actually raising the chassis off the engine, I'll have room to get around the AC compressor there that's down towards the bottom. And yeah, so no matter what, I still have to take the intake plenum off, so that I can go ahead and put a chain on, so that when I get ready to put it on the engine stand, this will have to come off. I always take them off just in case. So plus, looks like somebody's done me a little bit of a favor already. Some of them have hose clamps, some of them are missing, so it should be kind of easy to take the hose clamps off the individual throttle body. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drain the fluid to make it a little bit easier and I don't make a mess. Okay, so on the hose that goes for the SMG pump, there's this little black ring. Just needs to be slid upwards, and then you could technically just slide the hose off, and that's why I end up draining this, so that way I didn't have a lot of fluid come out, which I only had a little bit because I couldn't get all of it out. And then of course the more pain in the butt one is this one. This one, it technically just came off real easy. It was really not that much of a struggle. There's two ways you could remove it: from the bottom of the intake or from the oil pan. With it coming off from there, it came out easy, so no big deal. And then of course the bigger one for the idle control valve is this one here. So yeah, that was easy. So now I got the intake out, just gonna finalize a couple stuff up there and start working from underneath. Okay, so here we are underneath, and pretty much what I'm going to start doing is removing all the trays. So I got the plastic tray up front, the aluminum tray underneath the actual engine itself, and the rest of the trays back there in the back. I'm going to be dropping the exhaust, loosening the steering shaft, getting the little odds and ends, removing the belts, disconnecting the AC compressor, and whatever transmission stuff I need to end up doing. So all that, the drive shaft, all that stuff will start coming down. And then what I'm going to end up doing is putting my one of my toolboxes that I've got, and I'm going to then drop the whole subframe on the toolbox, and then that whole complete assembly will come out. So let me get going on that. Okay, so I got pretty much everything underneath already disconnected. The fluids are all drained. Got the fuel filter already off. Also got pretty much most of the suspension already disassembled as well. The only thing I have to do is just start loosening the suspension. I'm sorry, not suspension, but the cross member. So what I'm going to end up doing is just kind of lowering the chassis down and onto my my trusty toolbox here, and that will pretty much hold the whole transmission and the engine itself. So I'm going to go ahead and get that going, get it all situated, so I can go ahead and just remove the 4 subframe bolts, and hopefully comes out nice and smooth. Okay, so I have the engine cradle sitting on the toolbox, so the chassis is kind of leaning on it. So now I'm just going to start disconnecting the 4 bolts on the front subframe and then the transmission bolts. And at that point, I just gotta slowly but surely raise the car up little by little and kind of check up top to make sure everything is clearing. And that's going to be technically that's going to be more my issue, is just up top, you know, getting things to clear, and the AC unit right here. So let's get to it. Well, that's it. So the only thing I got to do is just take some stuff off the top of the engine so I could go ahead and move it out, as I'm already kept out on top of the roof. So the only thing I did different from the last one that I ended up doing with the S64 was I put a little bit more wood underneath the between the toolbox and the actual subframe. So I think that's taken a little bit of my my height away. So yeah, going to keep plugging away. So there she is. I did have to go up a little more, and the roof of the convertible top did hit my my light up there just a tad bit, but it was enough to get the front cleared. So note to self for next time, not to use woods. I was just trying to make it more flatter. So yeah, so wish I had taller ceilings, but sweet. So now what I'm going to end up doing is moving some stuff out of the way, getting this engine, get the transmission disconnected, or get it off the toolbox, get it disconnected, and put the engine on the engine stand, and then start maintenance the engine. So the things that I'll touch base with the what's going to happen when the engine's on the engine stand. So I'll go ahead and get that done. All right, here we go. So the engine's on the engine stand, got that all done. I got the front subframe still on the toolbox. That's going to go back on the car, so I can go ahead and make this mobile, because at one point I got to swap cars around. And then I have the transmission sitting there. The transmission is going to have the belt housing replaced. So this one will be an actual 6-speed manual. So I got to get this belt housing off and sent back for the core. And then the engine. So the engine itself, we're going to do the ride bearings. There are some ARP bolts, some seals, which are, you know, replace the oil pan gasket while we're there, of course, and the front and rear main seal. And the other item we're going to be doing is the Vanos Upgrade. So the Vanos Upgrade is going to be all the seals that are in there, all the updated bolts, the M5 springs that are in there, even the bolts that are on the more behind the exhaust and the intake hub itself, those bolts right there. So yep, she's going to be ready. I know there's a couple items we're going to replace while we're at it as well, but those are the items that just come to mind. And then also, of course, like I stated earlier before, we do have the Euro headers that we're going to install. So these will be coming out. And yeah, so I'm just going to keep plugging away. So the next thing I'm going to end up doing, like I stated, I'm going to go ahead and put this sucker back on the car and get that ball rolling, and probably knock out the transmission first. So keep watching. All right, guys, so here is the parts inventory, the whole breakdown of everything. And I have to end up doing it so that way, as I start taking stuff apart, I start looking at what we have to make sure, we have it, which by doing so, we're missing a Glebo. The Glebo on the SMG transmission, that one is, so we're gonna get that coming. So just to give you an idea, we got the Z3 radiator. So we have, of course, the head gasket, the oil pan gasket. We have the 2 new radiator hoses, the oil service, and then we have solid polyurethane front engine mounts, and we also have the Beeson full Vanos with the bolts, the new M5 springs, and the solenoid kit. We also have the bearings with ARP bolts and the wiring harness, which I thought the wiring harness was from another company, but it ends up being from Condor Speed. So that one has been altered and made to fit a right-hand drive car. So, and then we have the active for the intake boot. Then we have the clutch itself, lightweight clutch, and then we have a new shifter because SMG no shifter. So wanted to put the better shifter in. Of course, we have the solid bushings in the rear for the tranny as well. The new tranny brace in the back with the new clutch slave. And then we have moving on to the rear subframe, because I will be doing a bunch of that stuff. So we got new brake lines. We have diff fluid. We do have the rear hubs and the rear bearings back here. These are the upper and lower control arm bushings on the rear spindles, all polyurethane bushings for the trailing arms in the rear subframe, and then the solid bushing for the front for the diff. And then we also have this from Active Auto Works, which is the brace for the differential, and then the lower control arms as well. And then we jump onto the miscellaneous stuff. So we got all new wheel studs. We do have new brake linings, front control arms as well, bushings, poly. And then we have, these are the upper control arm bushings. And then we have the new carrier bearing for the drive shaft. So to add to that, there were one question that I didn't see here, is I didn't know if we were going to install the polyurethane bushings on the diff cover itself or keep it OEM. So that's up in the air for right now. But let's look a little bit underneath just to show you the other items that we've got. All right, so here's the differential. I got to put most of it back together, or not really. It's just the cover, and then we have the actual gasket right there as well in the envelope. And then here is the drive shaft that we had to get used. Hopefully this is the correct one. Did a lot of research and it said this was it. So hopefully it fits, but hopefully it fits by the time we get ready to install it. And there are the Euro headers all unpacked, and then the exhaust. Ooh, look at that thing! 3-inch exhaust. Man, what a beaut! What a beaut! What a beaut! And then we got the new hangers as well, and there's the oval tip that is active exhaust as well. Here's the oval tip that I mentioned earlier on that may have to be tweaked to be able to get that it in that bumper. So that's what we have to do, and I got the thumbs up to go ahead and do it. So that's pretty much all the parts inventory we have for now. Let's get plugging away with the rest of it. Okay, so now I got the subframe back in, got it all bolted on, got the steering shaft on, the back lower ones, it's in. The only thing I'm gonna do is just gonna move and add the calipers back in their spot, and then put the wheels on. And I can't lower it all the way because I still got stuff in the back. That's how I just moved everything towards the rear of the car. So yeah, so pretty much that'll be done. And okay, so she's all back together, wheels on, so she is mobile. So now I could go ahead and move this one out and put the wagon on this lift. So this will conclude this episode, episode 1 of the just the removal of the drivetrain. And episode 2 will be the SMG converting into a manual. So keep an eye out for that video. Like always, help the channel out, like and subscribe, and hope to see you in the next one.